It's the AXA-sponsored FA Cup for the year 2000. Aston Villa against Chelsea. Your commentators are Ray Clements and Peter Brackley.
Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you tuning in from around the globe as the showpiece of the English game, the FA Cup final, is settled for the last time in this celebrated arena. Wembley, as we know it, will be no more after the England-Germany game here in October. And for Chelsea and Aston Villa, it's a wonderful opportunity to help this grand old stadium, the country's spiritual sporting home, to bow out in style. 77 years on from that very first FA Cup final to be staged here, Bolton against West Ham, forever known as the White Horse Final. Two teams for whom just being at today's contest certainly isn't enough. With a European place at stake, winning is everything. Chelsea in particular promised so much this season, but now have only this day left to savour. While for Aston Villa, well, appearing in the final confirms the outstanding transformation that they have undergone over the past few months. After emerging from a decidedly rocky patch, now they are striving for something tangible to bring Chairman Doug Ellis for their dramatic turnaround. Chelsea in their third FA Cup final in 6 years. Villa in their first for nearly half a century. Two of our most famous clubs, and one of our most famous chairmen, Ken Bates of Chelsea. And as ever, it's a splendid and colourful occasion as the world gazes in on English football's end-of-season jamboree. Aston Villa's John Gregory relishing the moment along with Gianluca Vialli of Chelsea as they lead the two teams out. Vialli so desperate to salvage a trophy from a campaign that threatened to fizzle out really after that deflating exit from the Champions League. And the charismatic John Gregory, the man who not so long ago the English press were constantly informing us was facing the sack after a string of bad results. The two teams now preparing for the presentations to be made by His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent. And Ray Clements alongside me here. It's all set up for another sparkling day in the sunshine.
It is amazing, isn't it? Every cup final the sun shines. It's a glorious day down there for watching the game. Although for one or two players, as the game goes on, it's going to get very hot down there, and that's going to affect maybe the pace of one or two of the more mature players that are in both sides.
Well, the events in Copenhagen earlier in the week, those disgraceful scenes surrounding Arsenal's appearance in the UEFA Cup final, have left, of course, such a bitter taste. The repercussions will go on, I'm sure, but here today is the chance for our national game to promote its more endearing side. And hopefully these two talented and enterprising teams can serve up a final to remember. The last Wembley FA Cup final in the stadium's current guise. A ground that has revealed unforgettable moments of sporting excellence over the decades. And rock to riveting music too. Remember the Live Aid concert back in '85. Soon the famous Twin Towers will be demolished and the old arena will give way to a plush new venue in the not too distant future. The two teams being presented to the various dignitaries today. Adam Crozier from the FA. Gareth Southgate, skipper of Aston Villa, hoping to be then the first man from the club to lift the FA Cup since Johnny Dixon way back in 1957. John Gregory, well, he'll be savouring the day that he has brought a team to Wembley for an FA Cup final. He actually says he gets more of a buzz out of winning as a coach than he did as a player. And here is Dennis Wise, his fourth FA Cup final, introducing the Chelsea team today. Didier Deschamps and Frank Leboeuf, along with Marcel Dailly, the three World Cup winners. George Weah in from the start. Gianfranco Zola, he must have wondered if he would be in the 11, but he's made it ahead of Torian Flo. Di Matteo, the Italian, and there is Flo, who will be among the substitutes then for Chelsea this afternoon. Young John Harley also on the bench. Dion Dublin had this fantastic comeback from a broken neck not so many months ago. Well, it's a fantastic atmosphere in the Wembley sunshine. Chelsea aiming for a third FA Cup triumph. They won it in 1970 and again in 97. Aston Villa are planning an 8th FA Cup final win, but the first then since 1957, when Peter McParland's 2 goals inspired them to victory over Manchester United. We always look at this stage, Ray Clements, for early signs of nerves, how the players are adapting. Anything you spotted out there so far?
Well, I don't think so. There's a lot of experience down there in those 2 sides. I mean, the people who possibly feeling the nerves more, people like Gareth Barry. This is a massive, massive game for him. Mark Delaney as well in the Villa side, a massive game for him as well. But you look at the Chelsea side, and there's not an awful lot of inexperience in that side. A lot of those players have had massive games, and therefore they'll be ready for this. And also, they've been here every other year just recently.
Well, Ken Bates, he's seen it before, of course, with Chelsea's triumph of 97. Very much a first time, though, for John Gregory as Aston Villa's manager. Leading his team out here, but he won't be watching the match from the sidelines. He'll be up in the stands, as he has been doing lately, running his team by mobile phone. Always such a glamorous occasion, and this today is certainly no exception, as the teams break to their respective ends in preparation for the kick-off. But whose bubble will burst this afternoon? Aston Villa 6th in the Premier League against a Chelsea team that finished just 1 place and 7 points above them in the league. Let's take a check on the teams then. Along with his own initially enforced transfer from touchline to grandstand, John Gregory cites 3 other main reasons behind Villa's huge improvement: the return to the back line after injury of Ugo Ehihog, George Boateng's revelation in the midfield anchor role, and Paul Merson's rediscovery of the spark that's given the team a real cutting edge.
We expect Villa to play in their usual 3-5-2 situation. Boateng will be the one that will sit in the middle of the field, and look out for Merson and Taylor breaking forward to join Dublin and Carboni. And who knows what we're going to get from Carboni this afternoon.
Carboni, the manager's choice to partner Dion Dublin up front. As we look here at the Chelsea team, not too many are guaranteed a place under the manager's rotation system. The only certainties really today were goalkeeper Ed De Hoy, the 2 central defenders, Marcel Desailly and Frank Leboeuf, and of course skipper Dennis Wise.
Well, Chelsea, the usual 4-4-2. What I'll be interested in today is see how Wise and Deschamps deal with the 3 midfield players of George Boateng, Merson and Taylor of Aston Villa. And of course, Gustave Poyet, he'll keep breaking forward. He scores vital goals from the middle of the field. And what a great day for George Weah as well.
Check out the subs. Julian Joachim, Steve Stone, Lee Hendry are certainly positive alternatives for Gregory on the Villa bench. Chelsea can call on Torre Andrew Flo, Jody Morris, and the 2 youngsters, John Terry and John Harley, as long as they're along with their reserve team goalkeeper Carlo Cudicini, the young Italian. Graham Poole from Tring is taking the whistle today. He, of course, is England's representative at the Euro 2000 finals in Holland and Belgium later this summer. Chelsea then to get us underway. The first FA Cup final of the new millennium. Chelsea in their all-blue strip, attacking the goal to our right. Villa in their famous claret and blue. Alan Wright, who has the task of policing Gustavo Poyet. We were talking beforehand, Ray, and I was wondering if Poyet would start on the right, and looking down here, I think he is going to.
That's exactly right, yes. Di Matteo is on the left-hand side of midfield, Poyet on the right. Obviously, Chelsea feel if they can get down that left-hand side of the pitch, get balls to the far post, Alan Wright is not the tallest by any stretch of the imagination. Poyet is extremely strong in the air, and that's where they feel Chelsea can get at the Villa side.
This is Mario Melchior, the Dutchman, who has come in for Albert Ferrer, out through injury. Ferrer. Melchior, who'd hardly been on the scene at all because of injury himself until the last few weeks. But he's come in, he's done well, and he's kept his place. I think Vialli was waiting until the last minute to see if Ferrer would make it, but had no hesitation, including Melchior, when it was clear that Ferrer would not be available. George Weah, what a contest that's going to be. Weah and Hugo Ehiogu. There's a loose clearance too then from Ehiogu. Here's Dennis Wise patrolling the midfield. The heartbeat of the Chelsea team. Melchior, then Deschamps, but operating alongside Wise. It's Melchior again. Player who loves to get forward. A strong block though by Ian Taylor. Desai aiming for Weah. Delaney was with him. This is George Weah, the man who's been on loan from Milan. Back comes Carbone, former Serie A opponent of him from his days with Inter and Napoli, among others. Graham Paul quick to step in here and calm things down.
Well, you have to say, looking from up here, Burton maybe has a little bit of a case there. There's Wise, he makes contact with the ball certainly first, does catch Wise after, but I think that's just his momentum that takes him through. Strong tackle, but certainly made contact with the ball first.
It's going to be a key confrontation between George Boateng, the Dutchman, and Dennis Wise, two firebrands in the heart of the midfield. Boateng saying beforehand how much he was looking forward to meeting Wise out there on the Wembley pitch. Here is Wright. Poyet, scorer of both goals in the semi-final win over Newcastle for Chelsea, and 6 in the competition so far, including a hat-trick against Hull back in round 3. Desai, who's been a colossus for the most part at the back for Chelsea. Certainly Vialli has stood by his veterans today, the likes of Leboeuf and Desai and Deschamps, ahead of the budding youngsters. And no room at all in the 16th for Chris Sutton. Here's Boateng. Had a tremendous season for Villa. Now Delaney in that right wing-back role. Carbone, impatient, quick then, but Desai, Leboeuf rather, covered his run. In goes Boateng again. Now George Weah on a roll for Chelsea. Zola, lovely flick, and Weah almost took it in his stride. Certainly improvised there, and he is really up for this game today, George Weah. So looking forward to playing. Di Matteo, then Deschamps. Now Leboeuf, good distribution to find Dennis Wise. It's been a positive start here by Chelsea. Here's Desai. Boateng to win it back for Villa. Well, much speculation as to whether George Weah will stay on with Chelsea. He could return to Milan. He could move to the United States. He has business interests in New York. Carbone away by Leboeuf. But the word from Weah himself is he wants to stay at Stamford Bridge. Here's Boateng. Then Paul Merson. Another principal figure you feel for Aston Villa today. They need him on the ball rate.
Well, they do, certainly. He's vital to them. He breaks forward, he can score spectacular goals from distance, and also is a delightful deliverer of the ball as well. So certainly the game's obviously fast and frenetic at the moment. Lots of tackles going in, nobody getting any room. But as the game wears on, I'm sure there will be spaces out there, and the likes of Paul Merson is one who will exploit those if he's given it.
Taylor's free kick. Here is Paul Merson now. His return to form has really galvanised Villa's season. Up steps Leboeuf. Now Desai. We had a glimpse just now of Torianto Flo. He's been left out then, with Weah preferred up front in tandem with Zola. Looking to time his run there. But out comes David James to clear. Dublin's first aerial challenge with Desai. Then again, I'm sure will be a feature now. Leboeuf has given it away to Carbone. And remember that spectacular goal he scored from long range against Leeds. One of the goals of the season from little Benny Carbone. Here's Wise for Chelsea. Poyet. Now Delaney. Such a fairy tale trip to Wembley for Delaney only a year ago, playing in the 3rd division with Cardiff. Now here he is in the final and also due to play Brazil for Wales next week. Di Matteo had lost his place in the Chelsea team, but has recently come back into favour again. There's an inclusion at the expense of the likes of Jody Morris and Dan Petrescu also sitting it out, not even among the subs. He doesn't look too happy about it. Southgate. So sturdy and reliable for Villa throughout the campaign. Certainly in the semi-final whenever when they weren't at their best, Aston Villa, and they only came through, of course, via a penalty shootout. But John Gregory feels they are better prepared now, and they will cope more comfortably with the occasion. Here's Weah. Busy and involved early on. Deschamps. Challenged by Di Matteo. It's Gareth Barry under pressure from Melchior. Just 19, Gareth Barry. He hasn't been called up for the latest senior England squad, and that would suggest Ray Clements. I don't think I'm giving away too many secrets by saying that he won't be going to Holland and Belgium, but was very much involved with the under-21s.
Well, there's a massive tournament for the under-21s as well in the European Championship finals as well, so that's a step forward for Gareth Barry. He's had a tremendous season, and I'm sure he'll be a success in those finals as well.
Deschamps, a World Cup winner with France back in '98. But sturdy challenge then by Ugo Ehihog. Here's Southgate, his central defensive partner. Carbone has drifted out to that far side. Abiyaro was policing him, the Nigerian. Ehihog. He's been talking this week of his exclusion from the latest England squad. John Gregory might have picked him, but Kevin Keegan has overlooked him. He's found his seat in the stand all right anyway, John Gregory. He's had problems with that mobile phone. So if he's got the right numbers today. And he tried to come downstairs for the semi-final, went through the wrong door and ended up in the car park. Not surprisingly, the security guards told him, "You're not coming through here, sir."
Did he get back in?
Eventually. Deschamps. Then Southgate for Villa, who haven't really settled yet.
No, certainly Villa haven't settled. It's interesting that Desai is dealing with Dion Dublin. I thought Dion Dublin would try and push on to Leboeuf, because if Leboeuf has got a weakness, he doesn't tend to like playing against big strikers who rough him up a little bit.
As Alan Shearer did in the semi. Here's Zola now. Almost a loose challenge by Alan Wright. That would have been interesting had he made contact. Well, Dennis Wise certainly did. And he fired that one through into the midriff of David James.
Well, that shows a man who's playing superb confidence here. Zola, lovely little trick there. Alan Wright nearly makes the tackle. When it comes out here, Dennis Wise has only got one thought in his mind. Right foot volley. And David James right behind it. It's moving away from him, but gets his body into line and makes it look very simple.
And he was saying earlier this week, Dennis Wise, what I would really like to do is score in an FA Cup final. 10 minutes gone, no score yet between Aston Villa and Chelsea, and it's Gareth Barry on the ball. Leboeuf jumping with Dion Dublin. Delaney, then Merson. Delaney again, swinging over his cross, in goes Dublin. And it was Leboeuf tracking him on that occasion.
Well, that's the first time that Aston Villa have put a good move together. Merson was involved in it, and Delaney, who loves to break down that right, eventually got the cross in. And LeBeuf just spotted that run from Dion Dublin in time and just managed to get a little nick on as Dublin was the first to the ball.
He'll be keen to impress today, LeBeuf. He was run ragged by Alan Shearer in the game here with Newcastle. And Chelsea were lucky to come out on top in the end. Ehiyog is up on the back. They've got Taylor in there too with Gareth Southgate. Boateng tangling with Zola, and it'll be a free kick to Chelsea. Which Frank LeBeuf will take. Another man whose future is uncertain, LeBeuf. Hearing reports as to whether he'll be staying on or not come the end of the season. Dennis Wise will certainly be with Chelsea. Here is LeBeuf. Asking just too much though of George Weah. David James not extended so far by the Ali's team. Just that one fairly routine save from Dennis Wise. Up by Desai, but only as far as Taylor. Here's Delaney, keeping Steve Watson out of the team. Merson, no, that's gone out of play. For a throw to Chelsea. He really has gone from strength to strength this season, Paul Merson. And Villa's upturn in fortune, turn in good form, has coincided with his own outstanding displays. Not by Weah. Now Poyet. That's a good challenge though by Barry. He's not blessed with outstanding pace, but does read the game very well. Carbone working so diligently for Villa's cause. Here's George Boateng. Ehiyog. They haven't really got at Chelsea so far, but they might do now through Paul Merson. Now, was that a mistimed challenge by Di Matteo? Delaney going to ground, and Graham Poll has indeed given the free kick. Everybody back to defend for Chelsea. Little cluster of Villa players there on the edge of the box, including Dion Dublin and Ugo Ehiyog. It goes Ehiyog, and it's fisted out by De Hoy. A record 26 clean sheets for Chelsea this season from Ed De Hoy. Dublin. And that'll be the keeper's ball. Zola. Has the capacity, of course, to open up any defence, Gianfranco Zola. And then there are so many match winners, potential match winners in this Chelsea lineup. Mario Melchior. And Villa will point to outstanding finishers of their own in Carbone and Dublin, and Merson too, of course, who's in possession now. Merson sprinting towards goal and looking to release George Boateng, who'd got forward. And that's good defending by Marcel Desailly.
Well, he is a top quality defender, isn't he? And of course, interesting how the two furthest men forward, Merson and George Boateng there. But to me, I thought Deschamps maybe just impeded Merson as he tried to play that ball, and certainly Paul Merson, as he went to the ground, was looking at Graham Poll as I was saying, hey, was that not a free kick?
Another Aston Villa free kick. And they certainly have an aerial presence for the likes of Dublin and Taylor and Southgate and Ehiyog. Merson to bend this one in. but not beyond that two-man wall. 5 major trophies from his time with Arsenal, Paul Merson, including an FA Cup success back in '93, their double cup winning year. They also won the League Cup. Leboeuf, another fine pass. Here's Deschamps. Now Melchior. No real options ahead of him. So here's Desailly. Little cushion headed out from Weah. And a mistimed challenge from Barry, who was struggling for pace there against Melchior. And will be cautioned for his rashness. No real argument, right?
No, certainly there wasn't. As soon as that ball was knocked, Gareth Barry was always struggling to get that. Melchior there has got a bit of pace there and knocked it past him. As you see there, Gareth Barry just caught him late. Nothing malicious, just couldn't quite get there, and was committed and brought Melchior down.
Now will Zola float this one over. Desailly is a target in the middle. That was Desailly stretching too. Leon Dublin back in defensive mode. Now Alan Wright. Merson just created that little bit of space for himself. Delaney. Deschamps collecting for Chelsea, but overhitting that through ball. I think in search of Di Matteo. Don't think they've seen the best really of Didier Deschamps at Chelsea over the past season. He's never quite adapted to the English game.
I think when you talk about players possibly leaving Chelsea, he would be one that certainly you would look at and think, I'm not sure he's enjoyed playing in the Premiership as much as many of the Chelsea foreign legion have done.
Poyet certainly has enjoyed his time with Chelsea. And only Flo has scored more goals than him this season. Leboeuf for this cosmopolitan Chelsea lineup. Turning away from Dublin, so cool and unflappable on that occasion, Leboeuf. But he had many a worrying moment here in the semi-final. Never really got to grips with Alan Shearer. Southgate. Melchior. Barry had seen his intentions, and now Melchior will be cautioned. Bit of tit for tat there. I'm not sure he intended. I think he just lost his bearings, really.
Yeah, it was a silly challenge, really. There's no problem. He just shrugged off Barry, and Graham Paul just saying, well, I'm not going to let anything develop between these two. I've got them both booked now, and that should quieten the pair of them down.
So a yellow card for Mariel Melchior, the former Ajax defender, indeed a former Dutch Cup winner back in Holland. Merson. Well, it was a decent ball in for Taylor to dispute. He's no slouch in the air, this fellow. John Gregory's so relieved to have his services again. He's been out through injury.
Well, the movement from the Villa players allowed Taylor to get relatively free at that far post, one-on-one, and if you leave Taylor like that, he is like to out-jump the best in the country.
Merson with the corner. Too long for Dublin. Ehihawk couldn't make a connection either. Gareth Barry. Leboeuf with the jump. Here's Babayaro. Managing to outmaneuver Carbone. That's good skill from Babayaro. Preferred in the starting 11 to John Harley. Of course, Graham Lasso is still on the casualty list. Almost halfway through the first half. And still no breakthrough as yet. And every sign it is going to be a close contest between two teams who finished just one place apart in the Premier League. Ian Taylor unchallenged. Here's Boateng. Taylor and Boateng, my pit bulls in midfield, says John Gregory. Melchiot. Now Zola. We're offside. Just went too soon then, the Liberian international. He certainly did well here in the semi-final and was outstanding too in the win over Liverpool recently, when Chelsea really turned up the style. That was the best of Chelsea, but they have struggled in matches against lesser teams. Not, I think, that you would put Villa in that category. Desai just lost his footing for a moment. Did well to adjust. Barry, then to Southgate. Delaney's after this one with Di Matteo. A hint of handball, and Graham Poll has seen it.
Yeah, it's a good spot from Graham Poll. It amazed me that the linesman, who is a good 15 yards closer than Graham Poll, didn't spot it. He didn't put his flag up, but certainly Graham Poll correct on this occasion there, and it's certainly a free kick.
We saw it, we're half a mile away. Merson taking the kick. It's out by George Weah. Then Melchiot bravely. Delaney got a foot in initially. The flag's up for offside. He saw that one all right.
Yes, to be fair to the linesman there, he didn't put his flag up in the first place because he thought it was to Chelsea's advantage. Once that ball was headed up in the air, then you can see the two Aston Villa players in an offside position. He doesn't put it up there, but once it's not a clear advantage to Chelsea, then the flag goes up.
Well, it really has been an extraordinary comeback by Dion Dublin. They'd written him off for the season when he sustained that serious neck injury back in December. But he was back playing again in March, well ahead of schedule. And of course played his part in the semi-final win by scoring the decisive penalty in the shootout against Bolton. Southgate won't want to take a penalty today. But there will be extra time and a penalty shootout if need be to settle this contest. There will not be a replay. Boateng. Which is good news for Ray Clements, because you're off to organise your daughter's wedding, aren't you? You haven't got time for replays and extra time and what have you.
I could do that extra time. There's a few things to do tonight before the wedding tomorrow, yes.
Ahihog. He'll aim for Dublin, but he hasn't found him. Poyet. Desai, then Melchiot. Again underlining his prowess in the air. Up comes Southgate. Alan Wright. Desai keeping a watchful eye on Dion Dublin. There's a real physical challenge between the two today. Two very strong performers. Desai just having a word with Graham Poll. As John Gregory looks on, he feels he can do a better job up there in the stands rather than getting too heated down on the sidelines. Certainly Gianluca Vialli keeping his emotions in check at this stage.
I think what John Gregory does now is quite valid. You know, he sits up there, certainly in the first half. You can see the pattern of the game, you can see who's doing well, where the possible weaknesses are. And then you can make better assessments, I think, at half-time.
And maybe his ranting and raving down on the touchline was putting players off. And I think he'd go along with that.
Well, I think the players voted for him to stay up in the stand, didn't they?
That challenge was late. It's their Boateng in certain discomfort on the ground. Barry's cross took a deflection. Now Merson. Good effort too.
Well, that's what he's capable of. That's what we talked about before the game. Any half chance on the edge of the box is a wonderful volley of the ball outside of the right foot there, always dipping, but Ed De Hoy certainly had it covered, was across his goal, probably a little bit closer than what he hoped it was going to be, but certainly good effort from Aston.
In the meantime, Aston Villa were incensed by the tackle from Dennis Wise, and he has been shown at the yellow card. George Boateng still on the ground and now receiving treatment. They've been comparing their disciplinary records this week, these two, Wise and Boateng. I think Wise's, perhaps surprisingly, is slightly better, but he's had a few sendings off, and Boateng has had more cautions.
Well, I think, you know, Dennis has improved over the years, hasn't he? He still has his moments of aberration, but you know, he's probably one of the most improved players in the Premiership over the last 2 or 3 years. I would think he's had so much influence on Chelsea's success in this last couple of years.
And he's, I think, a little bitter that people don't give him enough credit. No two ways about it. Dennis Wise is an exceptional player, whatever his disciplinary problems. A winner here, of course, with Wimbledon back in 1988. Carboni, who left the semi-final scene somewhat disgracefully, kicking the bucket as he went off, substituted by John Gregory, who's forgiven him for his behaviour, his petulance. Merson. Was he caught then by Dabayaru? Graham Poll says no. Leboeuf. Now Taylor couldn't work it wide though to Delaney. Here's Ware ploughing his way through the middle. He's got great close skill for a big man, George Ware. Deschamps. Up by Gareth Barry. And he had Gianfranco Zola for company. I think he's changed the colour of his hair, hasn't he, Deschamps? Melchior. All James with a bit of a fumble in front of the England goalkeeping coach, Ray Clements.
He's got a smile on his face, he knows it.
I hope you have.
It was a slight error. He just takes his eye off the ball just at the last minute there. You can see Ekiog in front of him. But luckily for him, no blue shirt close enough to take advantage of it.
Dabayaru. David James, of course, back in the England fold. He's in the squad for the upcoming friendlies against Brazil and the Ukraine. And there had been talk, Ray, of a rift with you, but I think you're keen to play that down.
It's an absolute load of rubbish. There's been never a problem between David and myself. You know, he lost a bit of form, obviously, when he was at Liverpool, was left out the squad. And this year he's come really back into form. It's been a good move for him. Paul Barron's worked extremely hard with him. And he's had an outstanding season, and he's back in the squad on merit, as simple as that. And there has never, ever been a problem between David and myself.
You heard it here. Ware is offside. An ambitious pass. Ware denied any further progress by the linesman's flag. Up goes Dublin. Wise for Chelsea. On to Poyet, who's drifted in midfield now. Not really stringing their passes together though at this stage, Chelsea.
No, they've definitely got obviously a plan to try and get out here in Aston Villa's left back area, to get on the outside of Gareth Barry or get at Alan Wright when he's having to defend on the left hand side. They obviously feel that's an area where they can exploit them, but so far Gareth Barry and Alan Wright have coped with it very, very well.
Vialli feels they are a better team, Chelsea, when they impose themselves on the opposition. They're not really doing that at the moment. It would seem that Di Matteo is now on the right, and Poyet has switched back to the left where we thought he would play. Deschamps and Wise through the middle, and Zola supporting George Ware. Ray Wilkins on the coaching team, of course, and alongside Vialli there on the bench. Graham Rix has been suffering from a virus lately, and I don't think has played any part in the tactical build-up for the game. Half an hour gone. Not too many real clear-cut chances thus far. But the likes of Poyet can snatch one out of nothing. Leboeuf is on the near post, Desai further back. Southgate, I think, is picking up Desai. Taylor involved in a little clash then with Poyet. It's Wise with the kick. James made the decision to come for it, and it was a good take too. Rather less fumbly than his earlier one.
And a far more difficult one to take than his earlier one.
Yeah. Berting. Here's Alan Wright, who's mainly been preoccupied with keeping Di Matteo or Poyet pretty quiet. Hasn't got forward too much yet, Wright. And they do need that width, you feel, Villa. Southgate, clipped up towards Dion Dublin. Here's Delaney, then Ehihog. David James, who was a loser here with Liverpool, of course, back in '96 against Manchester United. Frank Leboeuf tidying things up for Chelsea. Deschamps. Melchiot. Here's Desai. Di Matteo. Chelsea seeking some rhythm here. It was Delaney with the interception. Now Boateng. A dodgy old tackle then from Deschamps. He mistimed that completely. Only a reprimand from Graham Paul. No booking this time.
Well, you have to say, one or two of the bookings that have gone on before, that was possibly the worst of the tackles we've seen in the game so far. Deschamps can feel very, very lucky not to have a yellow card against him, I think.
Barry to Wright. Now Dennis Wise. Chelsea needing some inspiration here, but Zola can't latch onto it. It's been a patchy performance really from Chelsea. And Villa haven't created too much either. Here's Zola with those trickling feet. Then Deschamps. Zola again, but comfortably beaten in the air by Mark Delaney. Merson's lost possession. Back come Chelsea again. Desai. Then Babayaro. Villa will chase and they will close things down, as they're doing now. We're setting off. Now Poyet. He had Boateng snapping away at him. Did well then to retain possession, the Uruguayan international. His family, I know, watching back home in Montevideo. Off goes Zola. James was totally committed. And hopefully that wasn't a shot at goal. It was straight through to De Hoy anyway. Leboeuf. Too heavy for Di Matteo. Now Benito Carboni. He's rather flitted in and out of the game so far, but you can't fault his industry. Graham Paul here waving play on though. Zola for Chelsea. He's got Babayaro in support. Again, Graham Paul seeing nothing wrong. And it's Merson now on the counter-attack for Villa. Carboni. Merson's continued his run, but Desai is there. So strong, so obdurate at the back for Chelsea. Deschamps, then Wise. This is Poyet. Zola and Babayaro to his left. Gianfranco Zola. Look at Dublin back there defending. Leboeuf. It's a well-weighted ball for George Weah. Excellent covering though by Southgate. He read that situation superbly.
I think Gareth Southgate, you know, he's played that role now so long for Aston Villa. They've played with that three at the back for a number of years now, and certainly he enjoys it. I think he enjoys having the defender either side of him. It gives him the opportunity to sweep up behind them and pick up balls like that.
John Gregory has found his way down to the touchline. Hopefully this time not via the car park. Desai. On to Weah. That's a foul by Boateng on Deschamps. He's such a competitive player, George Boateng. Took a little while to settle in at Villa Park. John Gregory played him more on the right than through the centre, and it was only when he took on that anchor role that he really began to excel. Wise chipping it in. It was Poyet who ghosted into that threatening position as he is so apt to do.
Well, that was a wonderful tackle there from Ekiog. It really was, because the ball delivered into Poyet was excellent. Poyet certainly made good contact with it on the turn, but Ekiog came around the back of him and really got a good block in there.
Desai getting plenty of distance with his clearance. And the flag's up for offside down below us here. Alan Wright, so consistent with Villa during his time at the club, doesn't miss too many games. Gareth Barry, his best years surely ahead of him at 19. George Weah, lovely control. Now can he stretch Villa here? Wise had gone scampering through the middle, but Villa snapped the door firmly shut. Up comes Desai. Poyet on to Zola. He's got Wise and Weah up with him. Still Zola. Chose to go it alone, and it's getting a ticking off now from Dennis Wise.
Well, quite rightly as well, because when Zola received that ball, Wise was totally free, centre of goal. An early ball into him would have given him an excellent opportunity.
Boateng leading the counter chance for Villa, but not for long. Weah. There's only Zola right upfield with him, but the troops are beginning to arrive. And it's too heavy, the pass from George Weah. A man who's enjoyed so much success around the world. Relishing now playing in an FA Cup final, as are so many of these foreign players. Much more of an English feel, British tradition about the Villa lineup. But savouring the moment just as much. A game that hasn't really opened up though so far.
I mean, it doesn't really surprise us, I don't think. When you look at the makeup of the two sides and look how their seasons have gone, they've both been so strong defensively, conceded very few goals, but their problem has been scoring goals. Both teams have had that problem, and I think today's game, as much as we all hoped and wished it was going to be a high-scoring classical football game, I don't think it was ever going to be that type of game.
We saw Julian Joachim, he's among the subs for Aston Villa this afternoon. Maybe his opportunity will come later in the game if Villa continue to struggle to create chances. Poyet. Well, that was over the line for throw to Aston Villa. Winners of the FA Cup on 7 occasions. If they win today, they'll join Tottenham on 8. Only Manchester United with 10 have won the competition more times. Right, there's some space down this Villa left. Merson wants it played into the middle. Dublin is far post. This is Benito Carboni. Alan Wright again. Merson almost made something out of that. Disappointing finale though for Aston Villa.
It was, because you can see as it's developing here, Ian Taylor and Dion Dublin in that box. Dion Dublin's totally free at the far post if this ball's delivered now. But they're trying to get in that little channel there to Paul Merson. He loses control of it. And you can see Ian Taylor putting his arms up saying, get the ball in. We're both strong players in the air.
An FA Cup final that has yet to ignite. I don't think there are any two ways about that. De Hoy relatively untroubled so far in that Chelsea goal. And he has been a model of consistency throughout the season, as that goals against record testifies. Ware looking to shake off Gareth Southgate. It's no easy task, especially with Carboni there to help out. But he caught him illegally. He's not the world's best tackler, is he, Carboni?
Well, he's not, but to be fair to him in this first half, he's probably done his best work tackling back on people that we've seen not a lot of them in forward positions, and certainly not creating anything. But he's tackled back and he's won it vital balls. That one obviously was a foul, but earlier on in the game he actually made one or two good tackles. That's probably it for the season, those one or two though, I think.
Graham Poll likes to communicate with players, and he's managed to do so now. The free kick will have to be taken again. Certainly he is among the most respected of officials in the English game, Graham Poll. Zola's centre. Up go the hands, everyone appeals, and the outcome is a goal kick to Aston Villa. Strong challenge by Desai, but it's well wide of goal. Has a real muscular presence though, the French international. Rated by many as just about the best defender in world football. Wise. Now Melchior. Deschamps. Wise. And he's seen the run here of Di Matteo. Delaney, the favourite against Gianfranco Zola, who did seem to be leaning into him. And that indeed is the decision that Graham Poll has reached. It's been a frustrating afternoon for Zola so far. Hasn't really managed to make a mark.
No, he hasn't, no. I mean, you love him coming off these little holes off the front, picking up balls and running at people. He's not had that opportunity today. The marking has been really tight throughout both sides, to be fair, and nobody really has had the space that they actually like to enjoy to actually perform.
Dublin making a real nuisance of himself against Frank Leboeuf, who didn't appreciate the shove in the back. Well, he's had his critics this season, Leboeuf, but I don't think there was any argument there. He was shoved by Dion Dublin, rather unnecessarily too.
Well, he may have been shoved, but I don't think it's as bad as that.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? This is what people have complained about. He makes a meal of it. He was keen to make a point to Dublin first.
Yes, he was. He got his body in the way to make sure that it nullified the problem. And in Dion Dublin running through there, I think he may have made contact with the bottom of his spine with his knee. But certainly, to make a meal of it like that, I don't think it was necessary.
Personally, I wouldn't argue with Dion Dublin anyway, but there you are. He's okay, looking daggers towards Dublin. He's sometimes like a demented traffic policeman down on the sidelines, John Gregory, when he is not up in the stand. I think he's got his message through. But we need a chance or two to liven things up, Ray.
We do, certainly. You know, you leading up to half-time now, you make a few notes about what's actually happened in the game. And my piece of paper is quite blank at the moment, because apart from the Dennis Wise shot, which was straight at David James, there really has been nothing of note from either side. There's been one or two nice bit of movements in the middle of the field, one or two balls over the top of the Aston Villa back three, which David James has had to make good decisions to come and deal with. But Ed De Hoy has not been trouble at all. Apart from one ball to the far post he got a good fist on, so there really hasn't been a lot of goalmouth action.
I'll have my pen back then if you're not going to use it. Up by Gareth Barry to Di Matteo, then Wise threading it through, but rather aimlessly. Well, so often he's the man to make things tick, and he's the man to capitalise on it. Poyet. The Villa fans looking to inspire their team now. Certainly to greater heights than they've achieved so far. And the first half comes to an end with not too much to enthuse over, in truth, from either team. There have been very few chances. John Gregory will have plenty to say in the dressing room. So will Gianluca Vialli during the half-time interval. There have been no goals so far in the first FA Cup final of the new century. It's Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 0. So fair to say the 119th FA Cup final, the 72nd at Wembley, has yet to inspire. But in the words of the song, it can only get better in this second half. No changes for either team, just checking round as they were from the end of the first 45 minutes. As Villa get us underway, now kicking from left to right, and Desai tidying up for Chelsea. And one extra incentive for both teams to emerge as winners today: they will be in Europe directly next season and won't have to play in the Intertoto Cup, which will be good news for somebody, Ray.
Well, it will be. I mean, a holiday for somebody, because the side that goes into the Intertoto Cup, I think their first games are probably about the second week in July. So for any of these players that are also involved in Euro 2000, if they're in the Intertoto Cup, they're going to get about a week off, I would think, something like that.
They won't be thinking of that at the moment. Here's Dennis Wise whipping it in, but there's no challenge from a Chelsea teammate. Wise, who has been such an inspiration to Chelsea throughout the campaign. And they need him right at the top of his game in this second period. David James has not really been tested so far. James, who was the hero, of course, of the semi-final with his 2 saves in the penalty shootout. Merson was given away by Leboeuf to Ian Taylor. Marcel Desailly is there yet again. Good play then by young Barry. Here's Alan Wright. Taylor's arrived in the middle. A good header too. They're not close enough to goal. But a positive start here from Aston Villa.
Well, that's really the first time they've got out in when Gareth Barry gains possession of the ball here. He goes on the overlap around the outside of Wright. And as soon as it's played in, the ball's delivered. And Taylor gets on the end of it, and he's probably a little bit disappointed he doesn't actually get it on target. He is at full stretch, but he gets a full head on it, and he'll be disappointed with his heading ability. He hasn't hit the target with that.
He has scored 9 times this season, Ian Taylor. None as yet at the FA Cup. Poyet. Hong was at full stretch, and the flag was up anyway over on that far side. Bright sunshine at Wembley, but so far the game not really living up to expectations in any shape or form. Up goes Dublin. Might fall here for Paul Merson. He's off on a run, picking on Melchiot too, and forcing the corner. It came off the Dutchman.
Well, Merson does well here. He commits Melchiot, says, "Dare you tackle me in the box?" And Melchiot, quite right, he doesn't make the tackle at the wrong time and gains a corner out.
Merson with the cross, and it's Southgate. He's not renowned for his goal scoring, but he has got 3 this season.
Well, a couple of times now from Aston Villa set pieces, they've had good movement and they've got people free. I remember Taylor getting quite free in the first half, and Southgate really there maybe should have got that one on target.
Scored the winner against Southampton in one of the early rounds. goes Zola, just got its foot to the ball, but Barry is there, mopping up for Villa. Now Babayaro, who thought he might not be available today because of international commitments, but Nigeria's game was called off. His run covered here by Delaney, so anxious to redeem himself, the young Welsh defender, after his sending off in the semi-final. Now, where's he going to watch the game from in the second half, Gregory? Down on the sidelines by the looks of things. Perhaps that mobile phone isn't working. He's got a few stories to tell about it, and his failure to make contact with his fellow officials. Desai. They even gave him the wrong number once. Zola, good link-up play here from Chelsea. George Weah! It almost skimmed the upright from Weah. Suddenly Chelsea broke, and suddenly Aston Villa were opened up.
A delightful ball there from Zola. He hits it first time on the turn. I think David James possibly had it covered, but a lovely layoff from Zola. George Weah thought nothing better than to hit that, and certainly James, for the first time in the game, was stretched.
A brilliant interchange involving Gianfranco Zola, and Weah was released for their best opportunity, perhaps, of the match so far. Gareth Barry, a warning then to Villa. Here's Milkiot. In goes Ian Taylor, who lasted just 15 minutes in that semi-final, had to go off injured, and he's only just come back. Boateng, I think, thought that Carbone had made a run and had one eye on Desai anyway, who certainly caught him. But George Weah only a whisker away then from giving Chelsea the lead. We wondered which Chelsea would turn up today. Well, that was a glimpse of what they can do. Exhilarating at times this season, but so disappointing at others. That's been the story of Chelsea's campaign. Telling off here for Gustavo Poyet. And the yellow card shown by Graham Poll. That wouldn't have gone down too well with Mum and Dad watching back home in Uruguay. It's Merson with the free kick. And Ehihon couldn't reach it before Ndoye. Making his 59th appearance of the season. That's a Chelsea record for one term. And they've played over 60 games now, Chelsea, but of course the rotation system means they haven't all played that often. Zola. He has Babayaro in support. And it was hard going to get past Ugo Ehihon. He's so strong and so resilient. And his return to the team around December time after injury did mark the turning point, really.
Yeah, he's a very steady defender, isn't he? He's certainly a player that Villa have brought up through the ranks, and he's certainly got better and better the more experience he's had.
Ian Taylor. Carbone. Barry colliding with Weah. Southgate. He has been something of a father figure really to Gareth Barry, bringing him on. And young Barry maturing with every performance. Learning so much of such an accomplished defender as Gareth Southgate. Ehihon, the other member of that back three. Rather untidy. In goes Deschamps for Chelsea. Now Dennis Wise. Play on, says Graham Poll. Taylor back on his feet now. But he looks to be struggling. Off goes Babayaro. It's a good tackle though by Delaney. His defensive qualities have come under scrutiny for Villa this season. Very good going forward. Well, he showed he can defend as well then. Here's Frank Leboeuf. Out by Southgate. In goes Leboeuf again. And then Di Matteo. The keeper lost it and it's squeezed in by Dennis Wise. No, it's been given as a free kick. The flag was up, Wise went in with his boot raised, and the goal has been chalked off.
I think you'll see there when the ball was knocked in, as this shot comes in. Over on that far side, George Weir, I think it is just in an offside position. And although Wise wasn't, Weir certainly just about was, and that's what the linesman gave it for.
Yeah, I thought for a moment he penalised Dennis Wise, but no, the flag was up already, and it must have been Weir who was offside. There was nothing wrong with the challenge from Wise. To the dismay of Gianluca Vialli, the goal does not stand. The ball is scrubbed away from David James. But a real let-off then for Aston Villa. Babayaro. We're back defending. Taylor has found Merson. Poyet. Now Zola. Good touch to Wise. He almost fulfilled his ambition of scoring in an FA Cup final. He may yet still do so. And now Zola has run the ball out of play, but that will lift Chelsea. It won't have done much for David James's nerves.
No, and certainly the Aston Villa defence thought that was a goal. They didn't appeal at all. They didn't know that George Weir was just slightly offside over on that far side of the pitch.
Merson. Now Delaney. The Berth had seen the danger though. Maybe his last game for Chelsea, Frank Leboeuf. It certainly won't be Dennis Wise's. Delaney. Came off Babayaro, and it's a corner to Villa. And at least it's a better game now. A pensive-looking John Gregory, hoping his team can raise their game in this second half. Chelsea have come into the match as favourites. Deschamps and Melchior almost got themselves in a bit of a tangle. Eventually it was Di Matteo who cleared it away. Gareth Barry. Time for Babayaro. Time he perhaps didn't realise he had. Merson. 3 in the box for Villa. Dublin looking to attack. Out by Melchior. Only as far as Boateng. Little altercation here, Boateng and Wise. Dennis being very unwise. And Dublin having to calm down Boateng.
Well, the referee does well here, because when it comes out to Boateng there, certainly there's a foul there from Deschamps, but he still has the opportunity to strike the ball. And I think Wise may have just made contact with him as the shot was fired away.
He just followed through a little bit, Dennis Wise. Merson to try again. It was Deschamps. Boateng. And the ricochet took the sting off it. Here's Gianfranco Zola. Barry stepping in. Melchior had to change his mind. Dion Dublin. Now Alan Wright. No one more relieved than David James when that goal was ruled out from Dennis Wise. Tony Andrew Flo going through his paces. It may not be too long before he receives his opportunity. I think most observers had expected him to start the game in tandem with Zola. Vialli opting instead to play George Weir up front. Poyet with Wright backing off. Now Zola, a well-weighted ball from Poyet. It goes Weir. That was an important clearance there by Ugo Ehihog, but it's Dennis Wise. Taylor. Here's Deschamps. Southgate struggling to get it clear. It'll fall for Di Matteo. He scored that goal after 43 seconds in Chelsea's win over Middlesbrough back in '97. The fastest FA Cup final goal at Wembley. Leboeuf. No, he's impeded that by Merson. He's been playing with a broken toe, Frank Leboeuf, for some time now. So struggling on in pain. And he's never afraid to show it. Here's Weah to Di Matteo. Combining well now, Poyet. But here's Carbone for Villa. They need some magic from him. But Zola might provide it here for Chelsea. In goes Poyet, and Weah! Oh, what a great chance he's squandered there. Unguarded far post. He really should have turned that one in. And the Chelsea fans can't believe that he hasn't managed to tuck it away.
Well, that's a wonderful opportunity. It's a crunching tackle here with Alan Wright, but Zola whips a wonderful ball in. And there's Weah with his left foot. What is he, 5 yards out? Slightly on the angle. He's got to hit the target. David James coming across, does all that side of the goal to hit it into. Gets underneath it. And Villa are very, very lucky at the moment not to be one down.
They lost their concentration at the back end, Villa. Two defenders guilty of ball watching. Weah sneaked in, and he really should have converted that wonderful opportunity. Paul Merson, then Delaney, who was certainly caught out by Weah's presence. Taylor in too aggressively. No complaint from Wise. Melchior. Now Poyet working it on to Weah. Southgate again so firm, so decisive in the tackle. Here's Dion Dublin. You probably can't believe he's even playing in this final after his problems with injury earlier in the season. Mark Delaney advancing now for Villa. And it's a goal kick. Ran out of pitch in the end, Delaney.
Good defending from Babayaro, though. Very good. Got support there from Di Matteo, and they just ushered him down the line. Knew he didn't have a trick to beat him, and eventually, just as you say, ran out of ground.
Now here's the chance for Dennis Wise again, as it's played through there. Weah was just offside. There was certainly no foul on David James. I thought that might have been the reason. A bit hard to see that flag over there, but it was up. And Wise, to his utter dismay and horror, has had the goal chalked off. And he's the villain in Dennis Wise's eyes. It was a very close call. It goes Weah again. Did he handle that? Still Weah. James was brave. And another chance has gone a-begging. Deschamps. But Chelsea are beginning to create. Deschamps again. Now Wise. This time the danger has passed. Well, he was quick to make up his mind then to come for that one, David James.
Well, he was, because when the ball's delivered through, he thinks about coming, decides to go back. Now he knows it's the right time. And as they say in goalkeeping, it's not how you stop it, it's just getting in the way of it. This, I think, actually hit his shoulder. He just threw himself at it and managed to get a block on.
Desai's header. That was Boateng, then Carbone, but he scuffed his shot. I think John Gregory might well be thinking about a change soon, and perhaps throwing on Julian Churchill.
Well, certainly for me, Carbone has been a major disappointment. He's worked hard, but really he hasn't contributed. When you've got somebody like Carbone in the side, he's got to be creating for you up the front or getting strikes on target, and he hasn't done either of those things. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if John Gregory does make a change there in the near future.
They better move the bucket from the sidelines then. In case he kicks it on the way off. Here's Dennis Wise. He certainly left the field in a fury in the semi-final when he was subbed. Wise. Good running here from Zola. But equally strong tracking from Gareth Barry. But they're beginning now to ask some questions, Chelsea. More inventive than they were in the first half. Zola. Here's Leboeuf. He can certainly hit them from long range. Opting instead to look for George Ware, and he was offside. I think it's Steve Stone, in fact, who is going to come on at this stage rather than Joachim. Just stripping off, not that he needs to in this heat.
Well, it may well be that he feels that Ian Taylor also has worked tirelessly in the middle of the field, breaking forward. You might think that him or George Boateng has been involved in a number of situations where he could, if he's not careful, get himself sent off. Maybe he's thinking that bringing Steve Stone on there wouldn't be a bad idea.
Celestine Babayaro. Well won by Deschamps. Melchior. Getting the better of Carbone in the air, as he often will do. Here's Melchior again. Striding forward with great purpose here. A little unlucky too, but now it's fallen for Wise. Then Gustavo Poyet. Spreading the play to pick out Babayaro. Di Matteo making the run, and almost got the flick on too. He timed his burst through to perfection then, Di Matteo. Deschamps. Babayaro. This is Zola. Now Leboeuf. Up goes Melchior again. With an interchange with Dennis Wise. Carbone. Desai, so powerful in the air. But it's out of play, and Villa might make a substitution now. John Gregory has gone down to supervise. And they're not just at the moment. And that was very wasteful. Here is Steve Stone, just back from injury. Leboeuf aiming for Poyet. And he and Ware went for the same ball. Carbone. Dublin's touch. But Boateng won't reach it. Frank Leboeuf. The initiative at this stage, you feel, Ray, will be with Chelsea.
Certainly Chelsea have started more positively second half. They put Villa under pressure. A little bit unfortunate maybe not to be a goal in front at this time, and Chelsea are certainly in the ascendancy. And it's John Gregory who's the manager who's having to think, can I change this tactically to try and get us back in the game?
Babayaro to Leboeuf. Well, there's movement up front, but the ball is too strong. Steve Harrison receiving his instructions, maybe from John Gregory on the phone. He wants to work with Steve Stone now. Can you pick me shopping up after the game? Fitness journey here for Benito Carbone. It's a long call. Probably wrong number.
I'm not sure that's the most satisfactory way to pass on last-minute instructions, I have to say.
When you've done that, you go there, and then you go there. Where? Here's Delaney. Well, he's making the call. Yeah, he's happy now, but there's no activity down there. Although Steve Stone is out of his seat. and maybe preparing to come on in the not too distant future. I think Villa need to pep things up a little, and Steve Stone might just be the man. Dublin, who hasn't been able to influence things as Villa would have hoped today. But remember, it's really only a few games ago that he came back into contention again, let alone competing for a place in a Wembley FA Cup final. Now, will there be problems here for Ed de Hoy, the Dutchman, in Chelsea's goal? He's had very few saves to make this afternoon. Southgate has popped up far side. Here is Dublin. Just couldn't keep it down. Maybe lacking a little sharpness in front of goal, Dion Dublin, having been out for so long.
Well, Gareth Southgate arrived very late on the scene there, managed to knock it back. And Dion Dublin, he's having to go forward, can't get quite the power and the direction. But the worrying thing there is Gareth Southgate. Looks like it's a bit of cramp in his right calf, but at this early stage you would hope that it isn't cramp. Maybe there's a little bit of a strain in there.
He's had an ankle problem, but that looks higher up the leg, doesn't it? Worrying sight for Kevin Keegan, ahead of England's friendlies and of course Euro 2000, with Gareth Southgate certain to play a big part. That's a wonderful sight. Wembley in its full glory. The last FA Cup final to be staged here. And it hasn't quite taken off as yet. But still time, and remember, we'll need extra time if they can't settle it in the 90 minutes, and then who knows, yet another dreaded penalty shootout. Just about every major competition has had one. Is there to be one in the FA Cup final today? Dublin, and then Carboni. A great tackle though by Desai. My word, he was in quickly then. Magnificent defending.
Well, it was, because it was Desai who actually challenged with Dion Dublin in the first place, and he still recovered his feet to actually get the challenge in on Carboni.
Well, he's so often saved the day for Chelsea during his time at Stamford Bridge.
It's his challenge there, but he's on his quick feet and manages to get the challenge in as Carboni gets a good strike on target.
It's a tremendous recovery from Desai. Off goes Melchiot now. No sign of fatigue from him on his Wembley debut. And he's turned to Ian Taylor, who did well to get back at it, but actually caught him in the process. So it will be a free kick to Chelsea. Maybe a little unlucky that Taylor.
It's a wonderful little trick there, isn't it? Certainly full tail, then Taylor's all arms and legs over him, and certainly quite right, a free kick.
Yeah, it was ungamely. Gianfranco Zola. James lost it and it's in! No. Or is it? It has been given. And Chelsea have gone in front. For a moment I thought there Graham Poll had turned it down again. But it was stopped into the back of the net. And it was Di Matteo.
Yes, James coming in amongst bodies there. Dropped it again, unfortunately. And there was Di Matteo. No chance for James this. I think he sort of got in between whether he was going to catch it or whether he was going to punch it. Didn't do either, and when it dropped down, he wasn't lucky this time. It dropped straight down to Di Matteo, and he just smashed it straight into the roof of the net.
A restrained reaction from Gianluca Vialli, but not from the Chelsea fans around Wembley. Di Matteo, the man who scored that goal inside 43 seconds back in '97 in the win over Middlesbrough, has done it again. Not even sure of his place today. He hasn't been a regular, but once again he has shown us his prowess in front of goal. He reacted quicker then, and Gareth Southgate, he was trying to clear. Here's Southgate now. It's a big examination of Aston Villa's powers of recovery. Southgate. Well, there seemed to be a moment's hesitation from Graham Poll, as if he wasn't going to allow it. But the goal stands as George Weah goes down heavily, but there's no free kick.
To be fair, Chelsea deserve it. They've been the better side in the second half. They've been the side that's dominated possession, put Aston Villa under pressure, and they've created one or two half chances already in the half before they scored. So certainly they deserve to be in front. We've seen absolutely nothing of Villa as an attacking force.
Well, they've got to show more ambition now. Melchior being told just to calm down by Graham Poll. I think that is the only action he's going to take. But it's a warning for the Dutch defender. How will Aston Villa respond now? Paul Merson. Out comes De Hoy. Carbone! And off the line from Frank Leboeuf. De Hoy was stranded. There's no real meat in the shot from Carbone.
Well, it just shows how you need luck as a goalkeeper. De Hoy there comes for the ball. He's always struggling to get to it. He's reaching when he actually gets his fist on it, but when it drops straight through the first player's legs, and then Carbone fails to make a good strike on it. If Carbone makes a good strike there, the score's 1-1.
Merson again, trying desperately here to conjure something up for Villa. It was Dublin, then Zola away. The goal came on 73 minutes. So there is still time for Aston Villa to pull this game around. Off goes the goal scorer, Di Matteo, the Italian international. Here's Carbone, his compatriot. But again, such resolute defending from Desai. Zola. Lovely little ball to Deschamps. Weah's offside. He hadn't seen the flag. But the cries of the Chelsea fans will tell him that he had got too soon. Or had he?
Well, I think it's a very, very close one. I think that's level, and I think the linesman on that occasion, or the assistant referee, whatever you want to call them, maybe got that one just slightly wrong.
Dennis Wise. Zola's got his run right. Dragging Southgate with him. Gianfranco Zola. But he couldn't shake him off. Looks like a double change that Aston Villa are contemplating. Joachim and Stone coming on. But it's Chelsea in the driving seat now. And Zola has won his team a corner. Wise will take it, and Villa can't get the replacements on. Another goal now would surely seal it for the London club. Goes over by Wise, that's Dublin. Boateng. Deschamps. Here's Merson. No, Poyet was in first. Chelsea edging towards victory. It's been a really tight game, but they have been the better side, certainly in the second half. Here's Frank Leboeuf. Barry on the back foot, with Zola lurking. Now Alan Wright. Down goes Poyet, and it was a clear barge on him by a frustrated George Boateng. Stone is on, and so is Joachim. Joachim, who will play up front, so presumably Carbone will go off, I don't know. Taylor is one of those to be replaced. And it is Carbone, and he's gone quietly this time.
Yes, I think Carbone knows that it hasn't been his day, and the introduction of Joachim up the front there certainly will give him that extra bit of pace that will test the likes of Desai if he gets one against him.
Here's Steve Stone. An England international, of course. Leboeuf, the Frenchman. Now Delaney. Here's Stone. He will operate down this right side, where he used to be so effective, certainly from his time at Nottingham Forest, before serious injury held up his career. Gareth Barry. They can't afford to show any caution now, Villa. They have got to go for the throats of Chelsea. Here's Alan Wright. Melchiot in the way. He's done well. Zola. Dabiaro's on a run to his left. Deschamps always available. Now Leboeuf. Chelsea spraying it around. It's Mario Melchiot. Di Matteo again sprinting through the middle. Nothing this time though to concern David James. Delaney, then to Stone. Merson. Lurking with intent. Alan Wright. Dublin set off into the middle. But it's too close to De Hoy. And the service simply not good enough for those waiting in the middle. A point he might just be making in a moment. Gareth Southgate. To Barry. Can they pull something out of the fire here, Aston Villa? And indeed find some fire up front. Been rather lightweight in attack, in truth. Desai has been a colossus at the back for Chelsea. Melchiot. The Wembley surface beginning to take its toll now. There are more spaces out there to exploit. George Weah. Deep cushion headed out to Gianfranco Zola. It's Weah again. A clever little trick, but it didn't unnerve Hugo Ehihog or David James. Stone. Leboeuf to Babayaro. Is one goal going to be enough for Chelsea? Zola. Then Poyet. It's been a long struggle in the Wembley heat.
You have to say, looking at the two sides at the moment, that Chelsea certainly are in control, and that you can't see where Villa can actually create anything. They can't get enough good possession of the ball to actually deliver to the service to the front men to give them a chance to try and create. They still keep giving the ball away. Chelsea are picking it up, and Chelsea are keeping possession of it and making Villa work to try and get it back.
Zola. Babayaro now from Poyet's pass. Deschamps. In goes Weah. And then Boateng for Villa. Dublin. He had Melchiot for company and Desai. And very, very little has got past Desai this afternoon. Poyet. It's broken down disappointingly for Chelsea. Here's Dion Dublin, still working tirelessly. But it's further upfield, we need to see more of him.
Looks like George Boateng's in trouble again, another talking to from Graham Poll. He needs to be careful, he's one rash tackle away from making a long walk, I think.
Wise with the free kick. Oh, look at the run here too from Zola. It came back off Gareth Barry. Poyet! Well, you certainly don't rule out the spectacular with him. Stone. Looking to launch a counter raid here from Villa. But up steps Frank Leboeuf. They kept kept things pretty tight today, really. Desai and Leboeuf. And David James didn't quite look in charge of that situation, as he almost tangled with his own defender, Gareth Barry.
Well, I think when this ball's delivered, David James has made his mind up, but Gareth Barry hasn't heard David James shout, and there was nearly a very, very embarrassing collision between the two of them.
Zola has come more into his own in this second period. Gianfranco Zola has had a bit more room in which to manoeuvre. That's a good ball, slotted in to Melchiot, then George Ware. Through the legs of Graham Pole to Babayaro. And Aston Villa at the moment have run out of steam. Di Matteo. That was testing and worrying for a moment there for James. Don't think Di Matteo intended it.
No, I'm sure this isn't what he intended. He was looking for George Weir at the far post, but on his left foot there, just sliced it. But I think, although David James looked as though he wasn't in control there, I think he knew that that was going to just drift over the bar.
The advantage is still with Chelsea. A rather scruffy goal, but Di Matteo won't worry about that. John Gregory's team still have it all to do. Dublin looking on towards Southgate. There's a miscue then by Leboeuf. And then Di Matteo happy just to clear anywhere. We're into the last 5 minutes of the 90. Delaney. Here's Boateng. And then Southgate, the captain. They need some inspiration from him now. Alan Wright. Just hopeful balls pumped in though. Boateng is quick, but not that quick. And really over the whole game, Ray, they have been somewhat bereft of decent ideas, Aston Villa.
Yes, they have. If you look over these 80-odd minutes who've been playing now, that you look at the 10 outfield players, and you can't see anyone who has played well enough to cause Chelsea a problem. You know, the back three have battled well against Chelsea, restricted them to very few chances, although Chelsea have been in charge of this second half. But further forward, the midfield has worked extremely hard but never created. And Dublin and Carboni have never been in the game.
Zola, who certainly has a second wind at the moment. Out by Delaney. It was a clumsy challenge by Boateng. Gustavo Poyet took the brunt of it. His frustration boiling over then. Such a committed player, George Boateng. Zola, Poyet. Now Wise. It's a confident Chelsea now, with less than 4 minutes to go. Frank Leboeuf. Poyet's header, it's Zola. Oh, great skill from Gianfranco Zola. Di Matteo, and then Poyet. Maybe not the right selection that time. Here's Steve Stone for Villa. But they have not convinced at this cup final. Lee Hendry will be sent on here now. A little pat of encouragement from Jim Walker, the Villa physio. Just hoping he can pull something out of the bag. And Flo is coming on for Chelsea. Alan Wright giving way. Bit of confusion as to who's going off. It's George Ware. They're getting a great reception from the Chelsea fans, who have admired his toil, his contribution this afternoon. And we'll be hoping it won't be his last appearance for Chelsea. On comes Tore Andrew Flo, their leading scorer this season. But even that record didn't guarantee him a place in the starting 11. Deschamps. Now Di Matteo. Looking more and more now as if his goal is going to be sufficient to win Chelsea the FA Cup. Melchiot swinging it over, but too long for Flo. Mark Delaney. He knows his team are almost there. He's raised a few eyebrows with his rotation system, Gianluca Vialli. But it looks as if it's paid off again today. You can never confidently predict what team he'll put out. Certainly the players never know. Dennis Wise, well, he is one who is always on the team sheet. With that one notable exception against Lazio when he left him out, and what happened? They lost the game at Stamford Bridge. And it may well have proved to be a costly one too, because of course they then didn't claim first place in the group and went out to Barcelona in the Champions League, and it was a big, big disappointment for Vialli, from which he hasn't yet recovered. But this will go some way to helping if Chelsea hang on here. We're inside the last 60 seconds now. It's looking like defeat for John Gregory's team. Ehion. He's given it away carelessly though to Zola, and then Wise, who I think was aiming for the corner flag. Well, there's not too much he can do now. Mobile phone or no mobile phone. Dublin. This is Roberto Di Matteo. The scorer now in 2 Wembley FA Cup finals. 3 minutes to be added on. Deschamps. He turns straight back into Southgate. This is Merson. Rolled on to Boateng. It's Merson again. Villa will want him on the ball. Stone to Merson. And he was outnumbered as Melchior endeavours to bring it away, but at the expense of a throw. Merson. Desai had the measure of Henry. Steve Stone teasing Melchior. He's had an excellent game. The man who's come in for the Spanish defender Ferrer. It's Boateng. And it might be Villa's last chance. Southgate. Just lumping it hopefully forward. Desai is there, as he has been time and time again. They're all retreating now for Chelsea. This is Barry. Desperate clearance, but a decisive one too from Poyet. Dohe staying on his line. Ehiho. And as it sails over the bar, Villa's hopes may well have gone with it.
Yes, this is a half chance for Villa. When Poyet clears it, they don't hesitate, get that ball back in the box. And just look at the space Echior has got there, that far post. Even if he can't get it on target, if he can get it back across goal, you've got Joachim, you've got Dublin, who just might put it in the net. That's really a disappointment for them. And Dublin threw himself to the floor. He knew that that probably is Villa's last opportunity.
Gianfranco Zola. Checked but illegally by a furious Boateng. And I think now he's going to be in trouble. Graham Cole has called him over. Boateng continuing to walk away. Chelsea are trying to make a late switch here right at the death, as Boateng pleads his innocence. And he will take no more of it, referee Paul. I think it's Morris coming on, and Zola departs, but with the cheers of the fans ringing in his ears. He has given outstanding service to Chelsea during his time at Stamford Bridge. And he's played a big part, certainly in the second half here. Taraflo. No alternative for James now. He has to hoist it long and hope. Up goes Joachim. It was Stone. Stoppage time is almost up. That's handball by Melchior. And Villa can't take it quickly enough. Even David James is racing forward now. Merson will wait for him to arrive. It's all or nothing for Villa. Merson's free kick. Up goes James. and it's desperately hacked away by Gustavo Poyet. James has stayed upfield. It's all over, and the first FA Cup final of the new millennium, and the last here at Wembley, has been won by Chelsea. Roberto Di Matteo. Well, it won't go down as the best goal you'll ever see at Wembley, but it's such an important one for him and his team. A triumph for the second time in 3 years for Chelsea. They have followed their success over Middlesbrough back in '97 by overcoming Aston Villa today to give Gianluca Vialli his 4th trophy as club manager. Graham Rix celebrating with Vialli. A season that had been in danger of petering out really has been lifted by this final flourish. Reward for a campaign that, after promising so much just a few weeks ago, have been in late decline until this cup final glory. Commiserations for John Gregory and Aston Villa. Not quite good enough on the day. Their first FA Cup final for 43 years. And it's ended in ultimate disappointment.
It has, yes, as we said at the start, there's always people, there's winners and there's losers here, and the losers take it so badly. I was just looking at David James there. He's so wanting to put on a performance here today after the excellent season he's had. He's done most things right, but he's made the one error which has cost his side, and he's just inconsolate there. Paul Barron's put his arms around him. Eddie Nisbicki, the Chelsea goalkeeping coach, has come over to him as well. He just doesn't know where to put himself at the moment. And the same as the Aston Villa, a lot of the Aston Villa players, they know they haven't performed to the potential that they can probably achieve. So disappointing for Villa, but if you look down at the Chelsea pitch, there's David James there. He's probably in tears. He doesn't know what to do with himself at this moment. But at the other end of the pitch, the Chelsea players are ecstatic.
Utter dejection for David James. Sheer elation for Celestine Babayaro and his Chelsea teammates. Vialli was so desperate not to end a second successive season without some silverware. The Champions League dream failed to materialise along with their Premier League aspirations. But this now is a sizable consolation. Well, it's all so much to take in for David James. But Villa can take great heart from their achievement in getting this far, and indeed from the overall progress that they've made under John Gregory since those gloomier days back in October and November, when it seemed his job might well have just been on the line. So Chelsea are the winners of the FA Cup, the last to be staged at Wembley. A goal from Roberto Di Matteo in the second half has proved enough.
So disappointment for Gareth Southgate, a man who knows all about Wembley heartache, of course, after Euro '96. But it'll be no easier for him to bear this time round on what he hoped would be the proudest afternoon of his career. Ironic, too, that David James' magnificent season should end with him shouldering the blame for the goal. Those Villa fans who've waited 43 years to see their side back in the FA Cup final have to wait even longer to take the trophy back to Birmingham, after Roberto Di Matteo joined the likes of Ian Rush and Eric Cantona as players who've scored in 2 finals. And for all the euphoria of Chelsea, it's easy to sympathise with the players, management and board of Aston Villa. Sponsors man of the match Dennis Wise has seen it all before, having lifted the trophy in 1997. This will be the 5th cup he's raised as Chelsea skipper, and it seems as though he's coercing his son Henry into sharing the moment with him. Well, 579 clubs started in this season's FA Cup, with a preliminary round beginning on August the 21st. On that day, Chelsea beat Aston Villa 1-0 in the Premiership, and that was obviously an omen of what was to come. The legs might be tired for the men in blue, but they've had no difficulty in scaling the famous 39 steps to the Royal Box. A handshake there from Villa chairman Doug Ellis, and it will be the Duke of Kent who will hand the trophy to Dennis Wise. Roberto Di Matteo and Ed de Hoy looking on as well. And as Wise shows it to the hordes of euphoric Londoners, it means Chelsea are the first FA Cup winners of the new millennium.